Yo, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Marijuana SA Weekly. And today we have a really awesome lineup. We've got a friend, Peter from GES Labs, coming on to talk to you a little bit about GES Labs. It's a extraction company, quite a megalithic sized one at that, but it's some really interesting stuff that they're doing in the space. I mean, Dean, it's like, I think 2 other companies in the whole country are doing, probably in the whole of Africa.
Very little are doing CGMP pharmaceutical extractions. I think it's quite expensive to get into, and I think it's quite difficult to get all the checks and balances done, especially to export into places like Europe and well, I think anywhere overseas. So it's a company that I've personally been following. They're also out in Cape Town, and I've been following sort of their journey for quite a long time, and we've tried to get Peter on, and finally the stars have aligned, and he's joining us. So I'm really excited to hear more about how GES Labs was founded, and also sort of how Peter got into the space. And for me personally, extractions is a big passion. So I'm really keen to learn more. And I think for a lot of the listener base as well, I think, people are very passionate about their distillates and their rosins and their shatters. And I want to hear more about what Peter's doing in the lab and what kinds of products they're making. So I think there's going to be some really good talking points on this one, and also think it opens it up to some really cool future discussions in the space. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Love to get into the nitty gritty down the line. I'm sure we will. Guys, as well, for those that are listening to this podcast on your podcast app, we obviously are a YouTube channel, and those that are watching on YouTube, a big thanks. We recently hit the 10,000 mark. 10,000 subs. So we couldn't have done it without you guys. It really has helped us a lot. The support. I mean, we've been doing this like podcast for a few years now, and it's like, YouTube doesn't pay us money. We can't link our website in the description. We can't link nearly anything in the description because it's too high risk for getting flagged and taken down. So just wanted to make sure that you guys are just a thanks for the support.
Yeah, and a lot of effort goes into getting all these guests, guys. It's a constant hunt. So if you want to come on and you're doing something interesting, hit us up as well.
Yes, send us your suggestions, info@marijuanasa.co.za, and we'd love to get some more people on, do some more content, do some stuff. We do it online, so anywhere in the world. Okay, let's bring Peter in. Thanks so much for joining us today. We are super glad to have you on the show, and we're very excited to hear a little bit more about GES Labs.
Awesome. Yeah, sure for having me, guys.
Anytime. We're going to jump right in and start with an easy question. Tell us what you guys do. For those that don't know.
So we are a GMP pharmaceutical manufacturing business that we like to position ourselves as an alkaloid and cannabinoid kind of ingredient supplier. So mainly bulk. To put things into super simple terms here, we literally are just supplying bulk ingredients. Taking flour or raw material and making kind of different derivatives of different extracts that will kind of be sold to finished good manufacturers, the guys who make the soft gels, the guys who make the creams, the guys who make the tinctures. We don't do any of that. It's mainly bulk ingredient extraction.
Brilliant. And I know it's obviously cannabis is a big part of it, but it's also other alkaloids.
Other
materials getting extracted.
So South Africa has this wonderful traditional herb called Scelitum tortuosum. So that's basically just our other product. And we extract this and export that product as well. And it's been kind of a long plant and economy of South Africa. It's also great because it has this thing called the Nagoya Protocol, which is similar to rooibos tea, where it's got this great kind of benefit sharing tax that goes back to the Khoisan community for all of the income we make. And basically, we feel that the industry has been hindered on the scaletium just because there's actually not enough supply. So the world can't get enough of it. And we're really excited about kind of contributing to the value of this traditional knowledge and actually exporting it and, contributing back to the traditional holders. And we kind of have a similar dream for cannabis, with TransSky and, looking at how government can simply just look at the traditional benefit sharing tax they did with Scalitium and look maybe to include it in the cannabinoid industry. So that's a little bit of our kind of philanthropy dream that I can touch base on a little bit later.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's working. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also seen the end product of the Scalitium, the powder, and it's such an interesting looking product. How it sort of like I checked on your Instagram how it moves around in the bag, nearly like liquid. So it's a really, really interesting product. It's the first time I've heard someone speaking about sort of drawing the parallels between one specific a traditional plant and sort of looking to the cannabis industry as another, because we do have a lot of history with the plant in South Africa as well. So Peter, how did you get involved in pharmaceutical extractions? Can you tell us a little bit about the journey that got you here today?
Overnight, just woke up one morning and decided to extract.
I think it was in 2015. I was studying, coming to the end of my studies in becoming a professional chemical engineer at the Stellenbosch University. And I just kind of saw what America was doing. And, I was in the mindset of this plastic thing, sustainability, hemp's going to be the greatest thing ever. And I somewhat convinced my university to allow me to investigate cellulose as a bioplastic alternative. Took a bit of time. Tony Budden actually was great to actually donate some stuff to us. And I did a project, and I actually won a little bit of cash money for being like an extremely innovative engineer at the Stellenbosch University. But the technology still needed to catch up, and I'll explain a bit on that a bit later. But basically, we came to the conclusion that all the Americans and all the Europeans were all focusing on strains that gave you high cannabinoids. We feel that in the next 5 to 10 years, people are going to be competing on strains that give you high lignin, high cellulose, and those kind of things. So we can do, plastics and that. And that's what's holding the industry a bit back. And also agriculture experience is what's holding the industry back. You can't just think you're going to grow hemp and you're going to make beautiful clothes. Far more difficult than that. And the Chinese obviously never, criminalized hemp. So the agricultural experience has kind of got them there. But during that journey at university, I befriended a glass blower that did like technical scientific glass blowing, and we get along really well. And to this day, and he kind of blew me some really cool lab equipment, that was kind of extraction, very cheap kind of things. And basically, we sold a few things to some research organizations, and it was exactly the same point that Tony said, "Hey, bro, I'm sure you guys know Tony Budden from Emporium." He was like, "Hey, there's this project in Malawi, just got the research license. This was 2017 now." And he was like, "There's nothing there, but would you be willing to take a little bit of a risk, So I went there, I had like 10,000 Rand in my bank account from the university. And I said, shot so much. Went there, and it's difficult, was out there for a year, and there was nothing there. And this was before the US Farm Bill. It was before Canada legalized. So there was no real kind of, institutional money or kind of capital markets really looking at this. Fast forward a year later, ran out of cash, came back to South Africa, started looking for like a real job. And basically, I'd still founded the business. I still had the business, which then was called Green Engineering Solutions. And we were like selling glass equipment, Okay. And then boom, US Farm Bill legalized, Canada legalized, and Lesotho legalized very quickly in a very like short frame of time. And, I was fortunate enough to be a chemical engineer with real hands-on experience in a legal environment, being exposed to large-scale growing, being exposed to working with different extraction techniques, all kind of legal. And when those kind of capital markets came in, they kind of asked me, "Hey, look, we need someone that could really assist us with building out these projects." So there I was, like 24 years old, and these guys were, tens of millions of dollars of budget. you get to learn and you're exposed to a lot. So I was exposed from a very young age, very quickly, straight out of university, to what money can do in the pharmaceutical industry, building EU GMP facilities. I was exposed to extremely qualified engineers from around the world. And it kind of really, fast forward me 3 years of experience in 3 months. It was that sort of fast and dynamic. So I got caught in that very fast initial rush from 2017 to 2019 when Lesotho was building, Canadians were there. South Africa was a little bit behind still. That then took me to Zimbabwe. It took me to Congo. It took me to then South Africa. And during this whole journey, I brought along friends and family from university that shared similar passions and had similar skill sets and sort of the right mind frame. And we kind of just sat back one day and we're like, guys, we can do this for the next 10 years, or we can actually just pull back from what we're doing here and actually just have our own little friends and family business in Cape Town, kind of slow things down and do what we want to do, take the money we've made, also go get money in the capital markets based on our experience and build a little business here that we can be proud of, and look to do not just cannabis, but all these other really great traditional herbs that South Africa has and is exporting to India and China and not really benefiting from any of that natural resource. So that's how we kind of got into it. We started like that, and now we have this facility in Cape Town where we are doing pharmaceutical extraction. Yeah.
Man.
Epic story. Taken aback.
I also think it's the same. I mean, same with us with a lot of getting into it. It's like it doesn't have like cannabis. Like you're not never just like in that place where you're like overnight you're in it. But like I mean, you did you slugged through a year abroad, with not much, and you have to pick up. The same with us. We do these podcasts. We had to do a few hundred before all of a sudden the momentum picks up. And I think the cannabis industry does that. But yeah, that sort of leads me into the question of like, what in this industry, like, South Africa and like Cyril recently was talking about how it's going to, how he's going to create these jobs, but what do you think South Africa needs to do industry wise to promote this? Because we want to benefit. The country needs more dollar from exports. I mean, like any export's great, especially a cash crop, lithium or cannabis. What do you think needs to be done or should be done?
Yeah, look, so me and my team have a very interesting perspective and a let's say a dream, okay? And we're in this for the long haul, and this is the dream that we would love to make a reality. When we started digging into the cannabis industry in South Africa, the history is extremely interesting. For those who have updated themselves with the government gazette on cannabis, you will very much, it will be clear that from the 90s, the government took an interesting perspective and they criminalized the cannabis plant except for this derivative, what we call dronabinol. Now, not a lot of people know what dronabinol is, but in simple terms, it's 95% THC. If you go Google the monograph, you go Google the dossier, dronabinol is simply a 95% THC extract. The reasons why it was kind of excluded from criminalization, even though it was a synthetic THC cannabinoid, it was used for clinical drugs for AIDS. And, during the AIDS pandemic here, the government maybe looked at it and, Aspen Pharmacare and Abbott's Pharmacare then helped or worked with the regulator to exclude it from being a criminal kind of drug, although it is 95% THC. So we took a little interesting perspective. We approached SAPRA. We said, guys, we want to make dronabinol. We want to actually make dronabinol because it's simply just a 95% THC extract. And then when we looked at how the kind of, anesthesia and poppy and all those kind of industries work in Tasmania, which is, in Australia and that, it's outdoor grown, it's GACP grown. You've got Spanish pharmaceutical companies, bidding for this kind of poppy. It then gets sent to an API manufacturer like us. And then it gets, put into parentals, which is used for surgery. So our kind of long-term vision here was, well, you've got this Galician thing, right? Where you've got this benefit sharing tax, the Nagoya Protocol. You've then got this Transkei traditional knowledge with super unique genetics, super unique profiles, and it's low cost. It's very low cost. And we've proven here that you can take a very low quality cannabis flower and you can refine it and you can hit exactly what that dronabinol market is doing. And basically that means that what we can prove here is that you can grow low-grade cannabis in a controlled manner. You can make a pharmaceutical product that SAHPRA has taken off the Gazette or decriminalized it for medical use since the 90s, and it can be exported as dronabinol, and there can be medical reimbursement. And it's been clinically studied to prove that it stops cachia from wasting away of the body from HIV and AIDS. And that is our dream, We see that as helping South Africa from a kind of medicine and natural resource perspective, as well as kind of this agricultural potential. And that is simply what we're trying to do. So when you look at our license, we just went for one thing, and that's dronabinol, because we can take cannabis, and everyone knows, THC carts and all that kind of stuff. The pharma industry just calls that dronabinol. We call it carts, So that's basically what we're doing.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I think the least we've spoken ever. It's just like for the guys listening and they didn't see both me and Dean's jaw drops at all the info. It's really, really fascinating. I can't wait to actually dive a little bit deeper. I know the guys listening are going to want to hear a little bit more about the industry, but unfortunately we did run out of a little bit of time today. But we want to take you guys down and actually Peter's knowledge base and just like go into some of those angles. There's so many different things, like extraction, there's so many different lines that we talk about. So we do want to bring you guys more info. We couldn't steal more of Peter's time today, but we will steal some more in future. And thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, awesome. No, look, guys, I'm very excited to be here. And if there's more time, more space, happy to dive into any topics that your audience would love to kind of understand a little bit better. How do we get to certain things? What do certain things mean? We're here to kind of share with the community and let them know what's happening.
Amazing.
Cool.
Amazing.
Thanks so much, Peter.
Thanks so much. See you, Peter.
Epic stuff. I love hearing about people's journeys in the industry, and wow, Peter's had a very interesting one so far. Yeah. I'd never heard the word dronabinol, to be honest.
Same.
Until now, I'm feeling so I blushed for a second there, because it's just like I'd never heard that word. But what an interesting angle to have taken. I mean, they're just targeting one specific product, and they've built a GMP facility around one specific product, so it just shows how much opportunity there is if you dive deep into cannabis. There's so many different avenues you could hit it in, and I mean each cannabinoid is probably an industry in itself, so
100%.
I'm blown away. I can't wait to get Peter back on in the future.
and I think it's like on an industry thing quite as well. It's a really good story for those that listen that are thinking about getting into the cannabis space or see it as this booming industry and just don't know how to make an impact or don't know what to do in it. Do that. Just insert wherever. Like find the nearest cannabis thing and put yourself in its wake, and chances are it'll carry you places. I mean, it's done it for us. It's done it for Peter. It's a flourishing industry with so much potential and so much to change lives. I must say.
Yeah, it's not easy though. A lot of hard work will go into it. Peter condensed that into 5 minutes, but I'm sure there was a lot of blood, sweat, tears involved. But if you're passionate about it and you're willing to put in the effort, I'm sure, I still feel we're only just feeling the tip of the iceberg of the opportunity in South Africa. I don't think it's really even opened up fully yet. There's big niches now, but I think with time, there'll just be more and more. So if you're umming and ahhing, I think you're wasting time. You want to be getting involved as soon as possible in some form or another, even if it's just consuming like 1 million hours of YouTube videos, you know?
Yeah. They can start with this podcast.
Exactly.
That'll be great. Just start from the newest ones. Don't check out the older ones.
Yeah, you'll get bored.
All right, guys. It was a pleasure to bring you Peter as a guest and some information on extraction. And please make sure to keep liking and subscribing and comments and let us know. Obviously, we asked for some more ideas for guests. If you know anyone cool in the industry, just send it through to info@marijuanasa.co.za and we'll love to hear from you guys. Till next week. Peace.
Peace, guys.